Hey everybody, I've thought about doing this. I wasn't sure if I should, but apparently he wouldn't, upload it to his website in a PDF file if he didn't know people were going to probably print it out. Now, we already had Torah-chan and a few others in a two-part audio read off, or at least mostly at the end. Well, mostly in the second part, I should say, in part 2 of what they call Lost Hedgehog, which they call, parentheses, thankfully, parentheses, Lost Hedgehog Tales, Episode 1, Part 1 and 2, but mostly in Part 2, that you can see here on YouTube. They basically read off or take turns. They take turns on reading the Lost Hedgehog Tales, although they take a while to get to it. Let's just put it that way. They don't get straight to it or anything, so I'm going to try to just read through it and hopefully get to the final points and everything. And then, well, not final points, but I'll just basically read through it to kind of see what your guys' judgment will be. Now, this is after, not word is, but, excuse me. Now, what I have here is an updated version. What Ian Flynn did, apparently, I guess hearing about what's going on with Ken Penders and stuff like that, the whole, oh, Ian has no idea what he stepped into kind of deal. Ian Flynn put a disclaimer, updated part 1. This is part 1. It looks like all of them might be 5 to 6 pages, maybe, all depending. Right now, this is 5 pages, so it might be 5 pages each. It might be more than that. I don't know. But this is what he says. This is Ian Flynn's disclaimer, and he says, "This document may not be reproduced, redistributed, or altered in any way. Doing so voids the author of any liability and accountability. The author is not affiliated with, nor acknowledges any material produced in response to this document. The ideas contained within this document are intended for non-profit entertainment only. The characters and scenarios included in this document in no way reflect the wishes, marketing plans, or visions of the respective creators and copyright holders. The copyright holders of all the content within this document do not acknowledge or approve the thoughts contained in this document. And the author makes no claims to present this content in any way that may be construed as official or licensed representation of the content. The content in this document is speculatively non-fiction relating ideas based upon material prepared for presentation, for approval, and material that was never refined beyond the drafting stage. The material does not reflect the intentions, motives, or desires of anyone beyond the author. The content of this document does not reflect the future intentions of the copyright holders. Any correlation, resemblance, or similarity to ideas presented in this document and the official material produced by the copyright holders is purely coincidence. I am not, nor have I ever been an employee of any of the copyright holders whose material is mentioned in this document. Hold on, folks. Any professional connection has been in a freelance capacity. And I do not represent the business/individuals I have produced material for. Basically by putting the disclaimer, he's basically saying, look, I'm not responsible for what you read here. I mean, well, he's not saying that. He's just basically saying, hey, look, there's nothing. Basically, he's just putting the disclaimer is so that everybody understands this is not for profit. This is not affiliated with Archie or Ken. This is just stuff that he had come up with for the original run of the Mecha Sally arc. Now, here's the first full page, and I quote, and this is Ian Flynn, and I quote, "Before I get into my plans of what might have been, I want to go back and look at what my intentions were leading up to the Super Genesis wave, to understand where I was going with everything. I'd like to first explain how we got there, or at least how I was trying to get there. One of the things I love best in works of fiction is the long-term payoff. Intentionally or not, it's when the author ties together elements from the entire life of the story to bring things together in an empathy. I managed to pull off one of those moments on the road between the milestone issues from Sonic the Hedgehog 175 Sorry about that. My dog, I don't know what she sees out there. Anyway, getting back to what I was saying, and I quote Ian Flynn. I managed to pull... Okay, let me start over. And I quote Ian Flynn. Before I get into my plans of what might have been, I want to go back and look at what my intentions were leading up to the Super Genesis wave. To understand where I was going with everything, I'd like to first explain how we got there. Or at least, how I was trying to get there. One of the things I love best in works of fiction, in the long-term payoff, he put in the long-term payoff. Intentional or not, it's when the author ties together elements from the entire life of the story to bring things together in an empathy. I managed to pull off one of those moments on the road between the milestone issues for Sonic the Hedgehog 175 and Sonic the Hedgehog 225. When Urajak leveled New Megalopolis, Dr. Eggman was forced to retreat to the egg bunker. When Urajak leveled New Megalopolis, Dr. Eggman was forced to retreat to the egg bunker. While readers only saw an egg-shaped dome, I was intending for it to be the Death Egg too. Over the next 50 issues, the egg bunk, and he puts this in quotations, the quote-unquote egg bunker changed hands, but was always under construction. And when it finally launched, you could go back and see the groundwork had been laid. The launch of the Death Egg 2 was to be the signaling of a major shift in the status quo. Up until that point in the comics, the freedom fighters had never truly faced a loss. They had overcome great challenges, but they'd never been set back. When old Mobotropolis fell, they made a good life in Naho. When they lost old Metropolis to the second Robotnik invasion, they again made Naho flourish. Sally recovered from Endgame. Antoine and Bunny got past Patch's sabotage. The Robians were rescued, and so on. The comic had settled into the comfortable pattern of quote-unquote Sonic and the Freedom Fighters always come out on top. My objective between Sonic 225 and Sonic 275, or Sonic the Hedgehog 225 and Sonic the Hedgehog 275, was to break the team as badly as possible and watch as they put themselves back together. Cruel? Sure. But by the end of the whole arc, there would be no question why these band of heroes always triumphed. I wanted to put them through the absolute worst case scenario and then show how they managed to overcome all the odds. On the whole, it was meant to be a testament to the strength of their friendship, their courage, and their heroism. Instead, I only got as far as the breaking point, so I ended up looking like a hateful madman. Whoops. The first stumble, ominously enough, came at the very beginning. Sally's roboticization was supposed to be the final reveal of Sonic the Hedgehog 225. The most iconic of the Freedom Fighters, the leader through countless life or death missions, was now a tool for the greatest enemy. Instead, we took a detour into Genesis for the Sonic franchise's 15th anniversary. Since this is a licensed book, I am at the whims of the license holder and the direction of the editor, so the timing of the event was out of my hands. Ironically, there was talk at the time of using Genesis to reboot and update the comic to be more aligned to the games. I was resistant to the idea then. In retrospect, it would have saved me a lot of trouble in the long run. But what is life without its cruel ironies? The result of Genesis was a double gut punch for the reader. Sally was gunned down before the event, saved at the literal last second after the event, and then was roboticized. Ultimately, it set the tone for what I was going for. The heroes struggling against seemingly impossible and unfair odds. It also introduced the idea of the Genesis wave. Little did I know then how important that plot device would become. We resumed course with Sonic the Hedgehog 230. Hold on, folks. Okay, let me restart there. We resumed course with Sonic the Hedgehog 230, and things proceeded smoothly enough until Sonic the Hedgehog 234. Sally was roboticized, Bunny was de-roboticized, Rhoda was still off the team, sitting as a counselor on the Council of Acorn. Nicole was shaken and weakened thanks to Axis Naga's manipulation of the people. The only freedom fighter left who wasn't protected by Sega's licensing armor was Antoine. And this is where the team finally broke. This is where Antoine died. Died, you ask? Looking incredulous and concerned. Hold on, folks. Trying to keep my dog busy. She keeps going to the door, even though she's already gone to the bathroom, so I don't know what's going on there. Okay, getting back to what I said. Died, you ask? Looking incredulous and concerned. He was only critically injured. Hold on. Lost Hedgehog Tales explains the method to my madness. We've only just begun. Going in, I knew roboticizing Sally would upset the readers. The entire saga was meant to upset and unsettle. But I knew she was going to be a big thing. Antoine's sacrifice was supposed to eclipse that, or eclipse even that. If we went through with it, he would have died a hero and been the rallying point for Sonic and the others. Even if we held back on killing him off, his injuries served the same effect. The question we had going in was whether or not we really wanted to go that far. Was it enough to leave him injured? Or was not following through a waste of Antoine's sacrifice? The fans decided it for us. The fans' reactions to both Sally's robotization and Antoine's injury was bigger than I anticipated. It was enough that the editor and I agreed that it was better to have Antoine live. So in a way, Sally and the fandom saved Antoine's life. I can already sense the collective confusion and outrage. Quote unquote, you said you were going to put the team together again, you're thinking, quote unquote, and you had a very public, very firm, dead is dead policy in the book. How would killing Antoine work with any of this? That was all part of my long-term plans. And we'll get to that later, mostly in the other parts. But for now, whether dead or nearly dead, Antoine was out of the picture. Rhoda resigned from the Council of Acorn in outrage over Nicole's exile, and Team Freedom and Team Fighters were born. Team Fighters was put together with the intention of giving Tails and Amy some much-needed page time and character interactions. The missions were to provide Sonic support while they tracked Mecha Sally down and stopped her reign of terror. But because the book had taken such a bleak turn, it was decided we needed a string of victories to promote a positive atmosphere. Now I couldn't have Mecha Sally succeed or let the heroes fail. So because Team Fighters never lost a battle, hold on, folks. I'm trying to keep my dog busy. What was I? Oh yeah. So because Team Fighters never lost a battle, Mecha Sally didn't really inspire that much terror. Team Fighters began the mission and promptly ran into the next big stumbling block in Sonic the Hedgehog 237 and 238. We were gearing up for the quote-unquote Secret Freedom Fighters arc in Sonic Universe.